Hello and welcome to the 2021-2022 Heart of America Athletic Conference Men's Wrestling Media Days. I'm your host, Ross Peterson from 106.3 KXNO in Des Moines, Iowa, host of the Sports Fanatics, joined today by Baker University head coach Cody Garcia. Coach Garcia, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, Ross. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's great to see you. Heading into year 7, is that right? Have you been with the Wildcats 7 years?
Yeah, it's kind of a surreal number, right? When you just the process, right? And I think when you love what you're doing, right, you're kind of immersed in it, and this is a unique little community we've been a part of. My kids growing up, when you start looking at all those things, you go, okay, I guess it has been that long, but yeah, it's been a whirlwind and enjoying it.
And it's been a strange couple of years, obviously, for everybody. Right. You excited is it starting to feel normal? How excited are you for this season to get back into some sort of normalcy?
Right. Yeah, I think that's important. I look at open tournaments, even though in the sport of wrestling, duels probably are kind of our lifeline. But as an advocate for wrestlers, right, open tournaments, such a healthy way to develop, I think, and give your team an opportunity, build that cohesion, right? Travel, 30 deep to a tournament and, kind of have some consistency in that, and then kind of establish your lineup that way instead of having to do wrestle offs, things like that. So I'm excited to get back to doing opens. Again, duels are still really important for us, and growing our brand and our fan base. But the competitor in me still loves going into a tournament and having to put some matches together.
Coach, I think you've done a great job of growing your brand, and I can't speak for the fan base at all because I'm not around Baker, but your brand certainly has grown, and you've produced some real quality wrestlers. You've had some great success. What do you attribute that to? I mean, again, it's been 7 years that you've been there, but you've seen a steady growth there, and it continues to kind of progress. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think, I like to say that I'm a byproduct of fortune, right? I've been very blessed to have some great people in my life and great mentors. I had an exceptional experience through high school and college, being a part of programs that were very successful. I think because of that, I think there are some foundational things that we recognize as being valuable pieces to build in a program. I look at Baker, right, when I look at Baker and when I first started talking to Baker about the idea of being here, there's a lot of things that aligned with my vision for a program that was already established, when it came to the academics and the athletics, and it had a great reputation, right? So I think that was a good start. We recruit from a 90-mile radius. You look at a lot of these rosters, they're not kind of built that way, but a lot of our success, and we've grown that. I think we have to, as the sport's grown, there's 15, 16 schools in Kansas now, so it's a little more saturated. So we've had to look at different directions to keep building. But ultimately, right, your kids becoming your best recruiters. So if you're doing a good job with them, that message, it resonates a little more in that 90-mile radius. So you look at some of the guys that have been national champs here and All-Americans, the majority of them have been from the area, and majority of them have been academic All-Americans too, right? So I think when you have those things, you can build a brand that people connect with, and something that I think can be consistent.
Coach, let's talk about some of those guys, some of your returners first that you're excited about this season. Yeah.
So we have a young team. 2020, we snuck in a national tournament right before chaos broke loose. But we had 4 or 5 seniors in that group, 4 All-Americans that graduated. So that's when the way our roster is built, that was kind of a year we were pushing to put ourselves in position. We kind of fell short of being a trophy team that year. I think there's a couple points that we just missed out on, but we're kind of excited to kind of grow back into that and rebuild to that point. We have 9 returning national qualifiers, which that's the most we've ever returned in a year. We got a lot of guys sitting kind of that 10 to 15 range when it comes to the rankings, right? So when it comes to rankings, right, it kind of looks good on paper to say, hey, man, they got all these guys ranked, but it kind of in our mind, it's like, we still got to close the gap, on our potential. Being the 12th best guy in the country just means you go 1 and 2 at nationals, right? And you score 1 team point. We have to be able to level jump to kind of get in the position where we're getting on the podium with a lot of those guys. And I think we got the individuals that can do that. And I think, we got the resources around them I feel like they can develop and make that jump. But it's got to be some consistency, as a unit. And I think these guys are willing to take on that challenge.
Let's talk about the conference as a whole, because you really, again, you've built things in a great way over there at Baker. But as you talk about, you've got some perennial powerhouses in this Hart Conference. Can you just talk about for a moment about the impressive growth that you've seen within the conference?
Yeah, and it's I think initially people are going to go, well, yeah, like you look at Grandview, and obviously Nick's doing an amazing job and has a lot of consistency. I think that's the one thing that maybe people don't understand is that consistency to stay on top, and that kind of pressure that is a privilege, but it's one of those things that to continue to build and fill in spots after they lose guys. But honestly, I think I'm more impressed, or equally as impressed with, maybe that middle area of our conference, right? You look like at a Graceland, Zach's done a great job of building his, right? He went kind of from, an upstart to, I think they finished in the top 10 last year. And they just, each year they've gotten a little bit better, through their lineup, where maybe they had guys that weren't as competitive in a duel. Now all of a sudden every match is a match that, you can look at, okay, this is going to be a competitive match, and across the board, right? As you look at the conference, you can kind of say that. Obviously, Missouri Valley is one that's also, kind of like us, that we kind of hang around. We've been in the top 10, I think, 4 of the 6 years that I've been here. And I think, Missouri Valley is right there as well. So when you have 3 teams, at least, that are consistently in the top 10, right, that, makes you feel good about your preparation when you go to a national tournament, because you've been in some battles and you've kind of tested the waters a little bit, and know that if you're competing well at the conference level, our conference is going to go in and do some damage at a national tournament.
As you mentioned, Coach, you were a college wrestler. Now you're a head coach. I believe your dad was a head coach. You've been around this sport most of your life. How much does the sport of wrestling mean to you and your family?
Well, I think, one, my dad was my high school coach, like you said, and I think to have that dynamic, that relationship, and he did a masterful job of navigating that relationship, right? That's kind of a tough, I got a boy now that he's just starting to wrestle, and I'm kind of a little more hands off, and but I think just building into somebody's passion, right? And you look at wrestling, I think it's a very consuming sport. You have to invest, you have to be committed to it to have success at a high level, and it's one of the least discriminative sports when it comes to size, gender, all these things now, especially as women's wrestling is growing. But I think there's a lot of parallels to life, and you look at it, and kind of things it's given me is confidence, right? And the ability to respond to adversity and find a way to yes, and continue to move forward. And, and the relationships that it's given me, I think that's probably the most valuable piece of it. I don't necessarily think about my career from, accolades or anything like that. I think about the people that inspired me, the people that built into my life and to who I am now. And wrestling is a big part of that.
Coach Cody Garcia, thanks a lot for giving us time today. Best of luck this season throughout the year.
Hey, thanks, Ross.
You bet. Talk to you soon.